This is Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano, and you are listening to the Bob Culture Podcast.
Nothing between the lines of the page or outside. Forgiveness is for angels, but this angel's fell out of line. That's in no second chance or redemption can be found. When you can't run the devil and the devil is running you down.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, back here, and we're live at Titan Championship Wrestling with wrestler, musician, legend, trainer. It is an honor to be sitting down with preacher, Finneus James. Welcome in, man. How are you, bro?
I'm good, man. Honor. I don't know about an honor, but thank you.
No, I've been waiting to do this, man. Trying to get away from like the Zoom stuff and all that, and just want to sit down with you. We always see you here at Titan training everybody, helping the kids, doing a lot. You've trained so many people, and you've seen so many people succeed in this business, man. I've talked to you about it a few times. What's that like for you, man?
You know what? Honestly, it's something that I think is been my calling, even more so than actually just wrestling. Really? I feel like I was kind of groomed as a trainer.
Huh.
I started training people in 2008, and then 2010, I ran a school with Nunzio and Richie Rotten.
Nice.
Yeah, so that was like my start there. And at the same time, as a wrestler, I was training at Ring of Honor at that time. So
The dojo?
with Delirious. And so I was not just learning a lot, but also, learning how to train people too, which was something that I just immediately became something passionate for me, that I really, really enjoyed. And yeah, I mean, you can't put into words what it's like to see somebody that you helped along the way succeed.
Yeah.
It's like watching your children succeed. It's not one of those things like as a trainer you have to dial it back a little. Like, you don't want to take credit for somebody's accomplishments.
Well, you were certainly part of the journey.
Yeah, part of the journey. I always like to think of it as I was just the map to help you get there.
I like that. Yeah.
That's the way.
Which is
that
very
I was.
important.
You know what? I love each and every one of my students, every person that's ever trained with me. I try to keep in touch with pretty much all of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Anytime that I have a free moment, I'm calling people, seeing how they're doing. Regardless if I'm still in their environment or not.
Yeah.
Really successful. I mean, right now I have I have a student at NXT. I have 2 at AEW. I have 6 students in the top 500 right now.
Yeah.
So
I'm
pretty blessed. That's pretty lucky, right?
That's amazing, man. And like you said earlier, it's so cool to see people succeed. Like, I started doing this podcast. I've been playing in bands since I was 16. We'll talk about music stuff in a little bit.
Cool.
But in the music business, I haven't seen so many people, and no disrespect, get signed or get to that next level. And in this business, for someone who's not trying to make it, I just like being around y'all and learning. You guys were all here for me during a tough time. I just seeing my friends and people you've trained make it. It's
cool.
It happens fairly often. It's very cool to see. The music business, I know, is very different.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the difference? What's that like for you, for someone who has had some success in the music business, man? We'll talk about that too.
To be honest, both industries are cutthroat.
Yeah.
Both. But they're cutthroat in different ways. The wrestling industry is based around respect.
Yeah.
There's definitely not that in the music industry, for sure.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, you respect people and that kind of thing, but there's a lot more...
I get it, though.
Yeah, cutting corners and But
Yeah.
just like everything else, man, I think with wrestling, you can succeed if you're driven enough.
Yeah.
Whereas with music, that's not always the case. I've seen people that were driven and great that never got anywhere.
Yeah.
100%. So, and I'm sure that that's the case with wrestling too. But I've seen it a lot less in wrestling than I've seen it in music, for sure.
Yeah, I like to watch Shark Tank, and I think they had a couple bands come in here and there, and Mark Cuban even said, hey, the music business, one of the hardest business to make it in, work
Absolutely.
with. He wanted nothing to do with it, and I get it. But for wrestling, it's so cool to see everyone succeed, man. And I know you trained a lot of people. Did you train Gacy? Did we talk about that?
No, I did not.
You were just
friends with Joe.
him,
Yep.
and he's been killing it too.
He's amazing.
So many, and you mentioned you train names in AEW and NXT. That's so cool to see. I remember seeing you on Monday Night Raw. That was awesome to see, man. I popped big for that.
That was a really funny story, actually.
Was it Tony?
Yes, I was Tony the Garbage Man.
Yeah.
But the truth is I didn't sign up to be an extra. WWE actually called me that day.
Yeah, they did.
And they had originally wanted my trainer because they needed an older-looking guy that could wrestle. And my trainer said, "No, I'm not doing that." They said, "Call Preach," and so they did. They called me. And they said, "Can you get to the arena in 2 hours?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like, what's going on? And the original idea was I was supposed to. It was supposed to be, believe it or not, me and Reigns versus Shane and Drew McIntyre.
That's right. Yeah, you could kind of see it going that right.
Right.
That's segment. Yeah,
that's what it was supposed to be originally. And by the time I got there, as soon as I walked in the door, John Carano said, "I think we've already changed the idea that we called you about, but we'll figure something out."
hey.
And I'm like, "Cool, I'm glad I got off of work and drove 2 hours."
Yeah, That's how it is, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, WWE's crazy, and the experience was amazing. I got to see some people that I haven't seen in a long time, Claudio and I had a whole bunch of other people, Ricochet, and so it was cool to
That's awesome, man.
be in that environment, and I had some really cool moments, man. I walked out with FTR, and when I walked out, I got a preacher chant, which
kills
is insane. That's insane.
But that's awesome.
But it was really nice. It was
I was one of
heartwarming.
them, by the way. Just so you know.
It was definitely heartwarming for sure.
That's so cool. Do you keep up with the current products on TV and
Absolutely.
stuff like that? Yeah.
Absolutely. I love wrestling.
That's
I
awesome.
love watching all of it. I do have, a lot of students will send me matches to critique weekly. So yeah, I try to keep in touch with it as much as possible, and I try to not be out of touch because I know a lot of guys that are my age are like, "Well, this wrestling's supposed to be this way, not that way."
Well, right. Which I might have expected to hear sometimes, and I'm glad that you're very open-minded.
I feel like wrestling should be whatever you feel it should be as a wrestler. Is every kind of wrestling going to be my cup of tea? No, absolutely not. I'm not a big fan of the the no selling crazy spot fest wrestling,
right.
But I don't hate it either.
Right.
I've seen plenty of matches like that I was like, wow, that was great.
Yeah.
So I think every kind of wrestling has its place, and it's okay to not like a style of wrestling. It's okay to go, hey, I'm a strong style fan. I don't necessarily like lucha, or I don't necessarily like this. That's okay, man. Like what you like, and don't like what you don't like. I'm just not a big fan of people complaining or burying wrestlers online.
Right.
Like, I understand, if you don't like a wrestler, I get that.
Yeah.
And even saying, I don't like this wrestler, no problem. But to be like, oh, this wrestler's work rate is, but what do you know about the work rate? Stop it. Stop it.
It's like that SNL sketch where The Rock was like that fake wrestler. He's like cutting the real personal promos and stuff like that. But I totally get what you're saying, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk shop a little bit. Shameless promo. We got Pro Wrestling Magic next week.
Yeah.
Killers of the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
You got to team up with two amazing humans in this business, Steve Off, Cheeseburger,
Yep.
to try Wizard Trios tournament. You guys have moved forward. You guys have advanced in that tournament.
Yes, sir.
What's it like to work with those two, and how cool would it be to be the inaugural champs for that tournament?
That'd be pretty amazing. I have only held 2 championships in my entire career.
Seriously?
Absolutely.
I'm shocked.
No, I don't want to say that I never wanted to be that guy, because that would be untrue.
Right.
But I've always felt like I was more of the workhorse kind of guy.
Yeah. Which I like.
But Cheeseburger, amazing human being, a friend of mine forever. I was there when he took his first bump at Ring of
That's so
Honor. Same Steve Off. I've been friends with Steve Off for like 15 years, so I've known him forever. Good friend, and not a BS wrestling friend, like an actual good friend. Because there are those, make no mistake, there are those where you're just like, oh yeah, I'm friends with that guy. You're not really friends with him. You're like,
cool with
you're
them.
cool with
Yeah,
him. You're
you're
not
cool
friends.
with them. Yeah.
And there's a lot of those, but it's what makes wrestling go around, you know?
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And I love seeing all you guys work together. And I love working with you. Shameless promo again. We're here at Titan. You do a lot of the training for the kids, up and comers. Man, how proud are you? And we have people on all different levels that can do all different things. But how proud are you of some of these kids right now, just picking up that momentum?
Very, very proud. But I do want to point out before we go too far with it that Frankie Picard and Josh Adams. Two other trainers here that do an amazing job. I want them, I don't want to take all the credit for their hard work.
Team
too.
effort. Yeah,
it's absolutely a team effort. They've learned a lot from all three of us. But yeah, the students here are passionate. They're driven. They work hard. They're doing everything the right way, and I'm very excited to see their progress. That's my favorite thing is watching, a young wrestler's progress as they get better and better and better. Everybody has their own pace. Some of them will get better, boom, like out of nowhere, and then there's drive too. Like some wrestlers, perfect example, Marcus Mathers right now.
Yeah.
Everywhere. He's everywhere.
He was our up-and-comer of the year this year. Yeah,
absolutely. And we knew Mark had something special, but what you can't ever know is how driven a person is. Because to get to the next level, to be a wrestler who's wrestling for a living or who wants to get somewhere.
Yeah, right.
You literally have to give up everything and make wrestling first. Period.
I'm seeing that. I see people who do that, and I'm getting that.
Yeah, there is no exception. If you think you're going to be the exception, you're listening to this at home, and you think you're going to be the exception, I promise you're not. You have to put wrestling first if you want it to be a career. That's all there is to it.
And it can happen.
It absolutely can happen.
Sacrifice and all that stuff. But yeah, we've seen it. And I'm glad that you said that. I've had conversations with people. I'm an outsider looking in, but I see guys like Leo Sparrow who are putting in the drives, going to everywhere, whether it's Texas,
Leo works
Florida.
his butt off, man.
He is, and he talks to everybody, man. And he's great, and he's a good human. Like,
I don't know Leo at all, but I love seeing the drive, man.
You know who he is.
Absolutely,
exactly.
He's working his butt off. How could you not know who he is?
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. Can I ask you a few music questions real quick, bro?
Of course.
I was interviewing Magic, and he brought up that you had like a really cool song, and you played music. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll check it out. Like someone, this podcast is an amalgamation of the local music scene and indie wrestling and all that kind of stuff, man. And, he's like, oh, you're in a band. I'm like, oh, cool, I'll have to talk to Preach about that. And I talked to you, and you have toured and opened for national acts.
Yep.
I think you may or may not have been signed at some point.
I was.
Which is unheard of.
Twice, actually.
That's a cool story, man. Tell us what you can, man, what you feel comfortable telling, man. I think that's very cool because I don't know anyone who's made it,
So when I was very, very young, I was signed as a solo artist to a major label, which I'm not allowed to say who it is.
Yep.
But they sent me on short tours, and they hired a band for me. It was a very humbling experience, and it was a very hard experience because,
really?
You're in a van with 4 other guys
that you don't know, really.
That I don't really know. And, I was the singer, so those guys are partying every single night. I can't party every night. I'm there to do my job. Yeah. So I'm trying to go to sleep early while the rest of the band is partying. You wake up, you go to an in-store appearance. You go to a local mall, you hand out flyers. Then you go get some lunch and then go to another radio appearance. And then by the time you're done with your second radio appearance, now you got to go do sound check. By the time you're done with sound check, then there's another appearance that you have to do right before the show. And then you do the show, then you break down, and then you do it all again the next day.
Yeah.
So it was grueling. It was very hard, and there was no money. I was signed to a major record deal, and I was making maybe $50 a night. Maybe. And that was on a good night.
It's kind of why I asked the question, because I don't know anyone who's had that opportunity, and we're in that local scene where a lot of times you're selling the tickets. It's a pay-to-play kind of thing. Promoters have a whole new meaning in that world as well. But was it like rewarding to kind of travel the country or work with some of these national acts?
Some of it was rewarding. Some of it was crappy, to be honest.
Yeah.
I opened up for some really big acts. I opened up for Cheap Trick and Sponge and a lot of the 80s bands that were like coming off of their 80s fame. So like, the Warrants and the Tricksters and stuff like that. So I got to open up for a lot of those bands. Some of them were amazing. Some of them were dicks, to be honest.
Yeah.
I admittedly am a high-strung person. I don't take well to disrespect.
Yeah.
And I had quite a few chances where I almost got into fistfights with.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
got to that point?
Yeah, because there were some guys that just thought they were big stars and really weren't. So. But there was the opposite of that too. There was a lot of guys that were super cool, So I did have those opportunities too, and I got to make some money. I did some soundtrack work and some commercial work, and so I did cool, and when I lost my first record deal, I got sued by the record company because I wouldn't join a band that they wanted me to join.
Oh, okay.
I was young, and I was like, no, you signed me as a solo artist. I'm not joining the band. I don't even like the band. And they were like, well, you're signed to a record contract. You're going to do whatever we want you to do.
Right.
And so I basically, for lack of a better term, I said, okay, cool, go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'm out. Yeah.
And they sued me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I had to go to 2 depositions before they realized I did not have any money. And then they dropped the suit.
I don't mean to laugh, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it's just true, So they dropped the suit. I had a really hard time finding another record deal, and then, believe it or not, Michael Bolton got me my second record deal.
No kidding.
Yeah. And it never actually went to fruition. I was in a band in Connecticut. We were very good, and we did make a demo, and the demo was fantastic. And we had a lot of interest, and we did get a good record deal out of it. And then the band just kind of fizzled out.
Yeah.
So, and it happens,
it does.
Yeah, keeping a band together is like being married to like 4 people. It's not easy. It's a nightmare, and that's now I just do like solo stuff, and I play by myself, and I prefer it, honestly. Truthfully, I make a lot of money playing music, a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And you do it because you love it. Was there any validation in the fact, and I want to come see you play. We'll get all the shameless plugs in at the end, though.
Yeah.
Was there any validation, in the likes of a Michael Bolton saying, hey, I like this guy, I want to work with him? Or is it more of a networking thing, more of a business thing? Or?
I don't know if there was validation in that. It's
pretty cool.
I mean, it's cool, and Mike was very nice.
That's good.
I really dug him. But really, what did it? The best moment, in my opinion, that I ever had in music.
Yeah.
I was in a band called The Truth. We played a show on a Thursday night. No, sorry, ignore that. No, it was. I apologize. It was the day that we opened up for Cheap Trick.
Cool.
We opened up for Cheap Trick.
Yeah.
About 2,000 people in the audience. Awesome. It was a club called Birch Hill that doesn't exist anymore.
I played Birch Hill.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Ago.
It was awesome. But the coolest thing for me was we brought about 700 people that night. We were very popular at the time, so we were drawing all over the place. I had written a song about divorce. My parents were never divorced, but I had a good friend, and she had a hard time with her parents' divorce. So we had sat up one night drinking and talking about it, and it inspired me to write a song.
Yeah.
We never recorded that song. We only played it live. We just never had the opportunity to record it. But that night when we opened up for Cheap Trick, all 700 of those people sang back every word of that song.
That's wild.
That literally gave me chills, and I knew at that moment I will never have a better moment than this in music. Not ever.
That's
because
amazing.
Obviously these people related to what we wrote.
That you said took the words out of my mouth.
And it really just, it was such a humbling experience, and it blew me away. I still think about it to this day, and honestly, I don't have a good memory, so it's...
Wonder why, but that's really cool to hear, man. As a drummer, sometimes the lyrics and stuff get lost to me, but...
I started as a drummer.
Really?
I did. I actually play 7 instruments.
Really?
But I started out as a drummer, and I wound up becoming a singer because we had auditioned so many people and couldn't find anybody that could carry a tune. And then finally, I just was like, well, I can play drums and sing, so I did that. And then they were like, I think we should just get another drummer, and you should just be the front guy. I'm like, all right, whatever, and it just worked.
Yeah. What advice would you have while we got you here, Preach, we got wrestlers that, are here at TCW, and maybe for musicians as well? The music thing's tough.
Yeah, no, it's not. Not for me. I think I learned a lot in those years. I would say this, honestly, set short goals for yourself. And then every time you achieve those goals, set a bigger one.
Yeah, kind of micro goal.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
Because it's going to give you a better mindset So when you accomplish that, you're going to be like, wow, man, I did it. I made it on a soundtrack. I always wanted to do that. That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
Now, hopefully I can open up for a national act. Oh, crap, I did it.
Yeah.
Now let me see if I can sell out a place on my own. So it's like little stuff like that. If you give yourself those goals, and I'm not saying that you can't be a big picture person. I'm not saying that you can't go, hey, I want to set the world on fire. Absolutely, you should think that. But on the way to setting them on fire, you want to set those little goals so that you don't let yourself down, because there's so much negative thrown at you, and you literally have to let that bounce off your chest. And that's whether you're a wrestler or a musician. Both of those things I feel like are the same when it comes to those goals. Don't let speed bumps in the road stop you from where you're going. It's just that simple.
I love that.
And try, please, for the love of God, if you're a wrestler especially, I don't know so much about music anymore, but if you're a wrestler and you make it to where you want to go, reach down and help somebody else out.
I love that.
Please.
Love that, yeah.
I try to tell all my students that, I have that mindset. Help your friends. Help the people who deserve it. But make sure they deserve it. Because some people will latch on and not give a crap about you.
Yeah, we want to make the business better and have
absolutely
good
do
people in
everything
it.
you can to be a positive force in the business. I feel like if I stopped wrestling tomorrow, if there's one thing that I have accomplished, it's that. I feel like I have been a positive force in the independent scene. And I'm proud of that. I've had my hand in a lot of companies on the East Coast. A lot. I've been a booker, I've been a wrestler, I've been a trainer, so there's not too many people that I don't know in this area. And I'm proud of that. And there's a lot of good people here. And
Yeah, that's what it's all about. And like I said, you guys have all been there for me when I was going through something very tough, man. And
that's because you're a good person.
I try to be. Maybe a little colder than I once was, but that's another story. That being said, everyone here holds you in very high regard. I see you in other locker rooms,
and I appreciate that.
I hold you in high regard. I like to pick your brain sometimes as I'm just learning, man. And it's an honor having you on, Preach. But before we get out of here, I do have an acoustic guitar in the car, but we'll leave you alone. I know you got business to head to. Maybe we'll get you to play sometime. We're all about that shameless promo here on the BCP. Tell them where they can find you, social medias, merch. If you got any shows coming up, I want to come to a show.
I do. You can find my shows on either Facebook or Instagram under Preach Can Sing. Mm-hmm. And I go under the name Preach because it's been my nickname for like 30 years. So, that's just easy for me.
Was that the music gimmick too, or no?
No, it wasn't. I went under my real name for a long time, but my real name is not memorable, so no one ever remembers it. As soon as I changed it to my nickname, then I started having fans follow me around, and I'm like, okay, so obviously the marketing was wrong for this, and then now I'm succeeding. If you are a young wrestler or someone who hopes to be a young wrestler someday, please feel free to contact me online. You can find me under Finneus James on Facebook, and that's with an F, not a PH. And I will help you find a school near you. You don't have to come train with me. I can point you in the right direction. I am friends with all the trainers on the East Coast, which is the way I think it should be. I'm here to help, and that is it. I'm not here to make money off of you or tell you what to do or anything like that. I'm just here to help.
I love it, and you've helped so many people in this room today. So, Preach, I'll let you get out of here. Thank you for a few minutes.
Thanks for having me, man.
Appreciate it, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Preacher, clap your hands. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We out.